Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization of antiquity.
A foreign country a step away.
It's the Casa de Cavazos, Justin here in Chicago, Ada and Nathan in Westco, Texas, providing that Tejano connection to reality. How are you all doing? I'm feeling pretty tired because I've been spending a lot of time the past couple of nights staying up late playing Baldur's Gate 3. I've never played it before, but it's very addicting.
I'm a bit tired because I had a night shift last night. I got some sleep because I work in an ER where I can sometimes get some sleep, but it's usually poor quality sleep. So, and my head was hurting like while I was sleeping. So it wasn't great.
Well, I'm feeling great. Finally slept well the last 2 nights. Got a good pump this morning, so I'm ready to go.
I got no pump because I felt too tired to go to the gym. Yes, it sucks. But I plan to run today.
How comfy are the beds of the ER?
Not comfy. But I purchased a Weston pillow, and that makes a difference. Having your own Weston pillow is pretty nice.
Like from the hotel?
Yes. Weston sells their bedding, and I think they even sell their mattresses to get that Weston heavenly experience.
You should have got a My Pillow, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should, just to see if my pillow is better than Weston.
You should get like a body pillow with one of those like cute anime characters on it.
And should I also walk through the parking lot with it at the ER so everyone can see me with it?
Yep.
Yes, while you're wrapped in like a tortilla blanket.
So we got some new sports news. We have our NBA All-Star starters for the East and West. For those who are not in the know, the starters are as such in the East. From the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. From the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell. From the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And from the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum. And in the West, we got some of the old hats. We got Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns, LeBron James from the Lakers, and how many MVPs does Jokic have at this point?
I think he has 2. I think he's going for his 3rd.
So we have 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets, and Canadian Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA.
Well, actually, I'm wrong. I think he's going for his 4th.
What? That's crazy.
3-time
Yeah,
MVP Nikola Jokic.
Yep, 21, 22, and 24 seasons.
What do you think about the lineup?
Sounds good to me. I mean, I don't know if LeBron deserves it. I feel like that's just popularity.
What about Steph?
I don't think Steph should be there.
Yeah?
I think De'Aaron Fox has a better case.
Okay.
Higher seed, better stats.
Do they have the rest of the roster filled out yet?
No, the reserves will be on January 30th.
Okay. So De'Aaron Fox probably makes it.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the NBA standings here.
I also feel like you could change Durant for Wembanyama.
Durant is 6th in scoring, though, in the entire league. Team's not doing great, but...
Well, neither are the Spurs. I'm just saying the impact that he has is, I think, greater than Durant's at this point.
Let's look at the PER. That's the way for me to tell.
Well, what's kind of curious is that for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the top 8, they do not have an all-star starter. Those are the Rockets at number 2, Grizzlies at number 3, Clippers at 6, and the Mavs at 7, and the Timberwolves at 8.
Well, the Mavs are because of the injuries, right?
Well, all those teams are because of the injuries.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think you can have Harden this year. He's still shooting under 40%.
Yeah.
I have yet to watch a Mavs game where I've seen Luka.
Yeah,
Right.
he's been out.
Yeah, every like primetime game, he's out.
And Kyrie's missed a good amount of games,
Yeah,
too.
also he was out.
What were the other teams?
The Rockets at number 2. The Rockets are kind of confusing because they play such good team basketball. Like, I don't think there's like one guy who's really just killing it offensively.
Yeah, their main scorer is Green, but I mean, he's not that efficient either, so
Yeah,
maybe
but
he'll be a reserve. Who knows?
They're winning on defense. And then with the Grizzlies, I mean, Ja is back, but he missed a lot of games too.
Yep, that's the other thing. So it's all injuries for those guys, I think.
What about Ant at number 8?
And
Sorry, the Timberwolves are number 8. What about Ant on that team?
I thought he wasn't playing that well so far.
I mean, all of a sudden he's like a really great 3-point shooter, but I think they're kind of penalizing him for the record, I imagine. But then again, Steph's there, so I could see an argument to have Ant over Steph too.
Wait, what place are the Lakers?
They're in 5th right now, ahead of the Clippers and the Mavs and the Timberwolves. I have a feeling the West is going to get really competitive after the All-Star break. It looks like the Nuggets are hitting their stride. Like Russell Westbrook seems to have really found his place.
Yeah. Do you think Russell Westbrook might finally get a title?
Maybe.
I think they're gonna end up claiming the 2 seed. I don't think they'll be able to catch OKC.
I think Russell Westbrook winning a title would be really cool. He's so good, but just not on the right team at the right time. I mean, if they had kept OKC together, Durant, Russ, and Harden, they would have won.
You just need one title to change your legacy. And look at Dwight Howard.
What? I don't feel like that changes legacy.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
I remember like Simmons was making some argument at some point that people are going to look back at the stats and see those Dwight Howard Magic teams, and he was dominant. And then put that together with the fact that he ended up winning a title late in his career, and people are going to say, like, well, this guy was dominant. He's one of the greatest of all time, without having remembered his downward spiral.
I mean, if that happens, I think all of us will be like 80 years old.
We all remember.
So Russell Westbrook is 36. Imagine if he wins a title now as a key piece of the Denver Nuggets. That would be pretty cool.
I feel like he could have helped the Clippers win like 2 years ago if Kawhi hadn't gone down. Because he was playing really well in the playoffs for the Clippers that year.
Titles has Kawhi?
Kawhi has 2.
Yeah.
But how many titles has Kawhi kind of taken away from people? Like, I feel like if he would have stayed with Aldridge, Aldridge would have won a title.
They got close.
And then he keeps on getting injured. Like, he may have taken away title from Paul George.
I mean, do you think like he took away titles from Toronto by not re-signing?
They still had a really good squad there.
Like, he's won titles, but at the same time, he's like actively caused his team to lose titles, or the team that he left to lose titles. I really feel bad for LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, that team could have done it if Kawhi would have stayed at least 1 to 2 more years.
Well, he was on that team, right, when Kawhi got that injury?
Yep.
When he stepped on Zaza.
Freaking Zaza.
Yeah, that team was really good, and they were smoking the Warriors in that game. And as soon as he went down, like that series
was
just
terrible.
changed.
Who knows?
But going back to Russ, though, I kind of feel like he's got this unfair judgment ever since he had that little Lakers stint. Like, they used him horribly. The Clippers really liked him, and I'm a Clipper fan, so I watched him. He was a really good piece for us too. I guess the Clippers just decided to go a little bit younger. That's the real reason why we didn't get him back. So I mean, that's the only stint where you could really say like, oh well, I mean, maybe he's not good anymore. But anybody that's followed him, just omit like that little Lakers stint, because they didn't use him well at all. He's not a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
While he can play off the ball, the way they wanted him to play off the ball, like, you know how ball dominant LeBron is, that was never going to work. So like, I don't, that season to me does not define him as a player whatsoever. So if you even watch the Clippers, he was a really good player there. And this with Jokic, I mean, they've meshed perfectly. So this is not a surprise to me at all.
I've never had a bad opinion about Russ. I think that he's one of like the greatest talents that's ever been seen in the NBA. But I think he gets so competitive that sometimes he does some things, like some shots that he shouldn't have taken. Like, stop trying to shoot threes, dude. You're not great at them.
I think I was reading that he's like the best corner 3-point shooter for the Nuggets right now.
Oh, wow. So maybe you figure it out. Just shoot in the corner.
But he's probably getting better looks too. I mean, looking at where his career kind of took a turn was after the tail end of that MVP season in 2016, 2017. He was still All-Star, All-NBA, second and third team the following years. But then he went to Houston for that 1 year. So then he kind of went on this trajectory of kind of joining these quote-unquote super teams. But I think that's around the time where we started figuring out, well, these super teams aren't really working. You're just gutting your roster, and you have to play your guys maximum minutes. So the quality of the looks that he's going to get aren't that great. I mean, after that Houston season, he went to Washington. Actually played pretty okay there for as bad as the Wizards were.
He actually played really well. Like, he just started off slow. From what I've noticed from him now, like as he got older, like he kind of starts the season off a little bit slow. And once he catches steam, like he looks as good as he ever did.
Yeah. And then with the Lakers and Clippers, those were just huge what ifs. I think just kind of being in LA with these teams with a lot of star power who actually had rosters that weren't that deep, that probably hurt his reputation too. I
mean, that was just the like Kawhi injuries though, I think. Like you said, they were really good.
Yeah.
Even last year they had a really good run, like where they were crushing everybody.
Yeah, Kawhi should just retire. Just retire, Kawhi.
I mean, he looks really good so far.
Yeah, but then he gets injured. But I've never had a negative opinion about Russ, like I said. When I saw a Denver game and I saw Russ in there, I was like, what? How did they get Russell Westbrook? Like, that's crazy. Because I thought it was a positive thing.
For Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a video too, and they're showing like that they're really, I mean, the way him and Jokic play, like they can read each other. So they have these little pet plays already. And Russ will cut and like get these easy layups. And the same thing, like Jokic just knows, like he'll come and he'll hit that pass. And Jokic is like prime position. Like, I always thought Russ was a really good point guard, but since he was also the primary scorer for a lot of his teams, people are like, he's not really that good. And he always got this this thing where like his team would move out of the way to give him the rebounds for the triple doubles. But I'm like, it's really hard to get 10 rebounds regardless. So
I've never bought the argument that he's not really that good.
and at some point they're like, oh, like a triple double is not as valuable anymore. But like whenever LeBron got one, I felt like it was like, oh my God, he's done it again.
Russ's value has gone down a lot. Like his current contract is a 2-year, $6.8 million with a player option for the 2025-2026 season.
What? Is he a starter or he's a sixth man?
No, he's the backup of Jamal Murray.
Okay.
He's basically in the Bruce Brown role, except way better than Bruce Brown.
Yeah, that's a major upgrade for cheap.
Yep. That's crazy that they got him for so cheap.
Well, the other thing is too, like they're saying that Jokic is actually the one that was telling the Nuggets to bring this guy in, and now you're seeing why.
If I was Denver's GM, I'd be laughing at how cheap I got him. I'm like, what? He's willing to pay for this much?
Well, even with the Clippers, he was not getting very much, and he wanted to return to the Clippers, but the Clippers didn't want to give that little bit of extra money. So
Imagine how competitive a person is to like take that kind of salary and to play how he plays still. He could literally just have a terrible attitude. Like, hey, you're only paying me $3 million a year, dude.
well, that's what the fans want to see. I'm telling you, they want to see that effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Clippers was a 2-year, $3.9 million a year contract.
Also, so he's been making only like $3 million, 3 to 4 for like a few years. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, the last last big contract was that 2018-2022 OKC extension that ended up getting traded around a couple of times. That was a 5 years, $41.35 million a year.
That run with the Lakers really tarnished him around the league.
And he's still competitive and has a great attitude. I don't know. I love people like that. He's also the type that I think he tries to play as much as he can, even when he's a little bit hurt. Like, he's not going to be like, oh my God, my toe hurts, I'm not going to play.
Yeah, he's always available. And same thing with James Harden. Like, James Harden plays like every game. Like, he wants to be out there.
Yeah.
Well, James Harden's doing that so he can afford his trips to the strip club, I think.
I think he's probably bought some strip clubs at this point.
Making good
As soon
moves.
as he retires, he's going to have a chain of Harden strip clubs with his face on them.
Is he going to be stripping though?
Is he going to be what?
Is he going to be one of the strippers?
No.
Okay, so are we in agreement? Snubs, Wembanyama, LaMelo Ball,
Yeah.
and De'Aaron Fox.
I'm going to take your word on LaMelo because I haven't really been watching that. But Wemby is amazing, so yes.
He's like fourth in scoring, and he's gotten a lot better, but I'm guessing too, the record's costing him. They're 11 and 28.
Okay.
What about Anthony Davis?
He started off really strong, but I mean, I guess, is it by position or is it just by votes? Did they go back to position? If it's by position, he's not snubbed because it's Jokic.
I think it's just front court, back court.
Front court, back court.
So then you have Durant in the front court?
I think I also think you could argue AD over Durant at this point. Been more available as well.
Okay.
So since Ada is obsessed with the PER, here are the top 10 players in PER. Number 1 is Jokic. 2 is SGA. 3 is Giannis. 4 is Mark Williams from Charlotte. 5 is Anthony Davis. 5th highest PER. Then Kat, Embiid, Gafford, and Wembanyama. I mean, PER tends to favor a lot of these bigs because they get a lot of high percentage shots closer to the rim. But Davis is up there. Like LeBron isn't even in the top 15. He's number 17 in PER.
But isn't that better than our first pod? Our first pod wasn't LeBron like 24th or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if anything, there might be a case for Anthony Davis to be ahead of LeBron if LeBron has one of those front court spots.
Yeah, he's probably been the best player for them this year by far.
But it's just the brand, it's the name recognition. So the way that the voting for the All-Star starters go is that the fan voting gets 50%, the media voting gets 25%, and then the players also vote, getting 25%. So in the fan voting, the top 7 are all starters. Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, LeBron, Kat, KD, and Shea.
Okay.
Rounding out the rest of the top 10, 8 is Wembanyama, 9 is LaMelo, 10 is AD. Steph Curry isn't even in there till 11. But also, there's some things where I'm just like, the fans get so many things wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Where's Fox on that list?
He's not even in the top 20.
He's not even in the top 20. Wow.
No.
That's a major snub.
But like Donovan Mitchell is 13 and Jalen Brunson is 14. Like Jalen Brunson is lower than his teammate Karl Anthony Towns.
But some of these players, don't you have to have league pass to watch them a lot? Like if De'Aaron Fox is on a bad team, aren't they gonna like mostly watch him on league pass? And if you don't have league pass, you're not gonna really be exposed.
I don't know. They've actually been showing quite a few Cleveland and New York Knicks games, so I don't know what the access issue is.
So what was the media vote for those guys?
Okay, so the media vote, the top 7 are all
The same?
no, the top 7 are all starters, but Mitchell is number 6, Brunson at 7, and then we got Wembanyama at 8, AD at 9, and then Curry and LeBron at 10 and 11.
LeBron's 11 in the media?
Yeah, and KD's 13.
But Cleveland and OKC are being shown because they're the top teams in the league on TV. So
Finally,
I'm talking about Sacramento's not really being shown because they have a bad record. And so if you don't have league pass, you're probably not getting a lot of exposure if you live outside of that California area.
yeah.
And did you get to player vote yet? What's the player votes for them?
So the player voting, all of the top 10 are the starters. Some people are moved around. You know, you have Giannis number 1, Jokic 2, SGA 3, Tatum, LeBron, KD, Kat, Mitchell, Brunson, and Curry around the top 10. Wembanyama's 12 there. LaMelo's 13.
That Fox doesn't make player vote either?
Nope.
Wow. Interesting. Kind of feel like Fox might have been snubbed because of the way they started. They started really bad. They fired the coach, and ever since that happened, they've been on fire.
Okay, so now they have a winning record during that time period?
They have a winning record. Their record's a winning record as well. Like they've jumped all the way to, well, now they're 9th, but I mean they were like 13 and 20. They're like,
Yeah, they're only 2 games back of the 5 seed right now.
yeah. So I mean they've jumped.
Yeah, so that West is going to be tight. I had made a prediction earlier before the season that is going to be wrong. I thought that the West would be so competitive that there would be no team that got 50 wins. That was like a wild take, but the Thunder have just been so good.
I mean they were really good last year. I felt like they were a few plays away from taking Dallas last year. I mean that was really unfortunate. The game that got eliminated where Shea like blocked the guy in the corner, but the guy double clutched, so then he ended up making contact with his arm on the second part of it. And I was like, man, that's so unfair. Like, how do you call that? I mean, if that call goes OKC's way, you're going to game 7.
Do you think that Cleveland's going to beat Boston in a 7-game series?
Their defense is really good.
Cleveland's?
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a hard time. I mean, they're 1-1 in the series, but the game that Cleveland won, Boston was still up. Like, Donovan Mitchell had to go crazy at the end of the game to pull that one out. So, I mean, if Mitchell can go, I mean, we've seen it. Remember that playoff series?
Yep.
Was it in the bubble where Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell were just like going back and forth with like 40, 50-point games?
Yeah.
If he can do that, they got a chance.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's got that dog in him.
Yeah. Well, they got to keep their foot on the gas, though, because they've been losing a few games now here lately. And so if
So
they're
they
not
can have home
careful.
court?
Yeah. If they're not careful, they could lose that. I mean, Boston's not that far behind.
Well, the things that would need to go right for them to challenge Boston is, first of all, they all got to be healthy. You know, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, Darius Garland have all had injury issues at different times throughout the past couple of years. Mitchell will need to go supernova, classic Donovan Mitchell playoff performance. It also might help if Kristaps Porzingis isn't available. That could be huge for them too. But if they hold and they are just as disciplined on defense and as explosive on offense, they can beat anyone.
Cleveland has a 6-game advantage right now in the standings.
But a lot can change after the trade deadline and after the All-Star game too.
So Cleveland and OKC are 36-8.
Wait, OKC also went to 8 losses?
Yes. But it's crazy that they're both the number 1 seed and they're right now comfortably ahead. The Rockets are number 2. You probably said that earlier.
Yes.
That shocked me.
Are you watching TV right now?
No.
At this moment, no. But
Oh, wait, let me put on the Spurs-Pacers game really quick here.
man, we should have got to Paris for that game.
So the All-Star game has a new format. Are y'all familiar with it?
Yes.
I'm not.
I think we brought it up in one of the
Yeah,
pods,
but I'm
I
not
think.
paying attention.
Wake up!
Yeah.
So it's going to be like a 4-team mini tournament. It's going to be pretty similar to how the Rising Stars went last year, where they had a mini tournament between 4 different teams of Rising Stars. They're going to be competing in short games up to 40 points. As a 3-game tournament, there will be 3 teams drafted by the 3 former players from inside the NBA, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. And the 4th team will be managed by Candace Parker, which I think will be the Rising Stars. The Rising Stars will still have the tournament, but the Rising Stars winning team will also play against the All-Stars in that one. We'll see how it goes, if it makes things more competitive. I know KD at least was very vocal about not liking the format. But honestly, like, this is your fault, dude.
KD's fault?
The star players in general. Like, if you weren't going to care about the results of the game or it being competitive, then the NBA wouldn't need to try all of these different things in order to keep people engaged.
I agree with KD, though. Like, I'm already falling asleep just hearing what this is going to be. It sounds boring to me to do it in such a way.
That's what Katie said.
No, I'm saying I agree with KD that it's not a good idea. And like my eyes are glazing over just even hearing about the format.
I mean, maybe they gotta have some like play-in tournament type incentive. Like, it's got to be money. Maybe you'll get them to want it.
I suppose like that would make the stakes higher for the rising stars. So the prize pool for the winners is 1.8 million. So each winning player can earn $125,000.
Yeah, that's not going to move the needle for these top players.
They could buy like a Cybertruck with that. So maybe it could.
That's probably like a dinner out for some of these guys.
Maybe
Yeah, I
you
can
eat
see
with
that.
Popovich because doesn't he buy a bunch of like high-end wine?
No other thoughts on the All-Star Game format?
Oh,
I
yeah.
already fell asleep.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I don't really think this is going to work. I think we're going to end up going back to the East-West at some point. And then I don't know what else they're going to try after that. I don't know. Or maybe you're going to just have to end up doing like some gimmick game like the NFL. But I mean, the NFL had to do it, the CT and stuff. Like, you don't want your star players getting blasted in a meaningless all-star game. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to bring in views. Everybody only cares about the 3-point competition still. So
I feel like those nights actually have more engagement and viewership than the actual game.
and it's only that, like the dunk contest, like, I mean, unless they're going to bring G League players in again, that's still lost its luster.
Well, you said Stephon Castle was going to be in it, right?
Yeah, go Spurs.
I'm interested.
I think that kind of wraps up the All-Star Game for us. I mean, I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to make time for
Sure.
it, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that it will be a different result. So the Australian Open is going on right now. I know y'all are big tennis watchers.
I wouldn't say I'm a big tennis watcher. My favorite players are already retiring, which was Nadal, and Federer's been out a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But their main competitor is still out there.
Yeah, Djokovic retired from the match. Not from tennis.
Yes. Clarify that.
Yeah.
I just feel like I didn't really like him. He was kind of like, to me, like how Mayweather was for a while. Like in boxing, like just nobody could beat him. But I mean, watching him play, it's just like, I feel like these younger guys struggle with him because he's just not going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to hit a perfect shot every time. And eventually these younger guys, I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for this shot. And they miss. I mean, that's all it is. Like, he just doesn't skew from his plan. Like, I'm going to hit perfect shots every time. If you want to risk it, go for it. Because like, you're not going to beat me like that. And these guys have not figured that out. I think the only reason he's slowing down, he's starting to get injured.
Yeah.
Because like when he's healthy, like you said, you have to, like, you're just going to have to, you can't really even overpower him. You just have to play his game and hope that he makes a mistake. And that takes a really long time for him to make a mistake.
Well, he's in his late 30s now. I've never disliked him. I think he came up like most stars come up. At first, he had a lot of difficulty trying to get through Federer, through Nadal, and then eventually got better and started beating people quite frequently. I don't really have a negative opinion towards him and never have, but there are certain players that I think a lot of people like better just because their charisma maybe and the way they play. Like Nadal has that effect on me for sure. And now we've got Alcaraz. For me, he also has that effect on me. Very likable, very charismatic, does
Very
amazing
good-looking.
plays. Yes.
Do you think any of these players are going to catch up to like the amount of majors that Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic got to?
So right now the big guys are like Alcaraz and Sinner. I think Alcaraz can.
But each of those guys, right, had like one major that they were really dominant in, didn't they?
Nadal was the king of clay. So a lot of his majors are the French Open.
Wasn't Federer a big grass guy?
Yeah, I think he had a lot of Wimbledon titles, and I think he blew one against Djokovic. He already had match point, and he couldn't close it, and Djokovic ended up taking that one away from him. That one would have made the gap a little bit harder for Djokovic to get to. He just couldn't hold it at that time.
I feel like Alcaraz doesn't really have like a specific surface. Right now, I think his issues are more trying to build his stamina, trying to build his mental game. So we'll see what happens, but I think he's the next big star.
I don't think any of these guys are going to reach these numbers, though.
You don't think so?
It's
No,
really
like,
competitive now.
Alcaraz has a few titles already.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
you
he's
guys,
21.
But you got to like stay consistent for as long as these guys did. That's because Federer had like a stretch where he won like no titles. Because I mean, he was the one where he could have really made it like unattainable for anybody. And like, I think he had like 3 or 4 years where he won like only one.
Okay, so as of right now, Alcaraz has 3 titles. He's won the French Open, 4 titles. French Open once, Wimbledon twice, U.S. Open once.
And Djokovic has what, 24?
I think so.
Yeah, because then they're saying he was going for his 25th here. So you got to win 20 more majors.
Yeah, but he's only 21. And if he stays pretty healthy, although he's probably going to have the same issues as Nadal, he's going to be more prone to injury because he plays like that Spanish, intense, I'm going to go for every ball kind of play. So yeah, Djokovic is 37.
How many more years do you think he's got in him?
And he's got 24 titles.
I mean, if he can get that leg right, I mean, who knows? But I mean, I've seen him have that. Was it the right or left leg?
I don't remember.
He has it wrapped for a while. So, I mean, it's bothering him. So if he really needs to get that under control.
He was able to beat Alcaraz with the injured leg.
Yeah.
That's how good he is.
And that's kind of what happened to Nadal. Eventually, he just, whenever he could play, he's really good. But eventually he's like, well, I can't even play.
Yeah.
So it's just, can he get this leg right? I think if he can get the leg right, he can probably win 2 or 3 more.
Well, Andy Murray played in a couple of Grand Slams after having a partial hip replacement. He didn't do great, but he played.
That's crazy.
The women's final actually finished up too. Madison Keys won her first Grand Slam for the U.S. She beat Arina Sabalenka from Belarus. And Sabalenka's strong.
Amazing.
Sabalenka's super powerful.
I think they've actually tracked that she hits harder than the guys. A lot of the guys.
I remember like seeing her against one of those, the player who is like the daughter of the Buffalo Bills owner.
Against Jessica Pegula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was crushing her. I think it was the U.S. Open. Like Sabalenka, at the beginning, like you could see all of her raw power, but she would constantly make these unforced errors because she was hitting it so hard. So I thought like, well, maybe if Pegula plays right, just takes care of her positioning and plays smart, maybe she'll have a shot. But then, like, she just got in a rhythm, just crushed Pegula once she got going.
There's a lot of mental component in tennis, especially singles tennis. I don't know if you've seen the show, the Netflix show that's about these players. It's called Breakpoint. Essentially, they bring up the mental part is so important. So, like, initially when they start missing a lot, maybe because they're not dialed in yet, sometimes they just lose their confidence and they lose the match because of that. So it's tough. And I've seen it too with Coco Gauff. I saw her playing some tournament where she started missing. She started like double faulting. Yeah. And she like literally started crying. And then she ended up just losing the match.
It's a lot of pressure.
I wish that there was a way that we could get more kids, especially like in South Texas, playing tennis for like an affordable cost. Because I think a lot of people are missing out on this sport. I think a lot of people down here could be really good at the sport compared to basketball or football.
Because they don't got the size?
You don't have the size. And size is a lot more important in basketball and football. In tennis, you can get away with it a little bit. And I think there are a lot of people here who have the athleticism that's required for tennis to be really great at it. Usually it's pretty expensive. The racket, the balls, the lessons. The lessons tend to be pretty expensive. It can add up. Yeah, so now I have my kid playing tennis and she's really good. So I hope she keeps it up because I think she has the potential to be really good, at least at the high school level.
Should get her into golf also.
I tried to convince her to do golf because I said it's kind of a similar concept. You hit like a ball with some kind of instrument. You hit a ball with like some kind of instrument and she's like, nah.
Yes, you can only try the rich people sports. The country club sports.
We should put effort into making these sports more accessible, like I said. Because we have kids that are missing out and yeah, they're having fun playing basketball, football, but I don't think a lot of people down here are really going to get a scholarship to a great college with basketball or football.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even the scholarship. I feel like part of it is just having a lifelong sport.
Yes.
Something that you can continue to play for your health and your enjoyment and for socializing with people. Like, sure, you can do it with basketball, but at a certain point, I imagine like your joints start to go. You got to stop playing at a certain point. Tennis, it seems like you can kind of play for a while, even when you're older. And even football, like you need so many people to fill a football team.
That's a good point. When's the last time you saw like a 70-year-old playing basketball or football?
Never.
I definitely have seen tennis.
And running.
Tennis and running.
Pickleball.
For sure, golf.
Yeah, golf. I mean, I think that people just need to be aware that tennis is a really good sport for their kids to try. You know, sometimes you can look around and there are like group tennis clinics that might be affordable to kind of get those fundamentals down. like sometimes you can kind of do free things. Just take your kid out to the courts once they have some fundamentals down and just get some practice in.
Yeah, there are quite a few free tennis courts in Harlingen.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they don't get as much usage. I know it gets really hot during the day, but it's kind of a great
Yeah.
thing to do once the sun goes down.
Well, they do get usage. Like I've taken my daughter out to some of the public courts, and I've been out there when there have been other kids practicing as well.
But is it packed? Like every court is taken?
I've been there when like 3 out of 4 are taken with people practicing. I will say it's a lot more affordable if you have a parent who's willing to practice with you.
Mhm.
I saw situations where a parent practices with a kid a lot, but I also saw situations where it was a coach practicing with a kid, teaching the kid.
Yeah, but that's if the parent doesn't suck.
I mean, you could just throw balls at your kid, and if they already took some clinics, some lessons, they can just get some practice in. You get them a ball machine.
That's
A cheap
expensive
one.
too.
There are some relatively affordable ones. Like you can get cheap ball machine. It's an expensive sport compared to basketball, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's definitely like a barrier.
We'll see. See if we can keep people healthy. See if we can get people playing sports. It's good for you. We have a special announcement to make. We are starting a mailbag segment on the pod. So folks have reached out to us both on social media and through our mailbag email, which is casadecavazos@gmail.com. For the folks who haven't had a chance to visit that, we can potentially have your comments or questions covered in a future episode, like the ones we're going to cover today. All right, so what do we got here? Question number 1 is from Sarah in Harlingen, Texas, asking, I was wondering what your take is on AI in medicine. I've heard that one, but not the only reason there is a shortage of radiologists is that they are concerned AI will replace them.
I think AI will replace radiologists that only read images at some point. I think the physicians that are most at risk, like in the short term, from AI are those that are only looking at images or things that are visual. Like if a radiologist only looks at x-rays and CTs and MRIs, then I think AI can do a really good job about replacing those people. If a pathologist mostly looks at slides, I think AI could also replace those people. So I think anything where there's some kind of visual diagnosis and there's not like a procedure involved and there's not really like physical diagnosis involved and history taking involved, I think that's the most at risk acutely.
So what are the things that radiologists or pathologists can do that don't involve just looking at an image?
So I think radiology has already started to kind of think about the future. They're doing a lot of interventional procedures. They'll use imaging guidance to do procedures, like live imaging guidance to do like maybe a lumbar puncture or something like that. So anything that's like fluoroscopy guided, they can do. And then like pathologists, they can do autopsies. So, that's something that I don't see AI replacing anytime soon.
But would it be a total replacement or just a reduction of the workload?
Well, first of all, if your workload's reduced, they're going to need less of you. So there are going to be less jobs.
They wouldn't try to get more procedures?
There's only so many procedures to go around. How are you going to make more procedures? Like, Justin, I want to just stick a needle in your back just to make some money.
No, I mean in terms of the imaging.
Uh-huh.
Like, could you potentially do more imaging?
I don't think that that's really a major factor. I think that people request as much imaging as they want, and they're not really thinking about whether or not the radiologist is going to have the capacity to read it.
But are you even considering like how good that AI is?
What do you mean?
So Harvard did a study on this already, and they had varying experiences. Like if the AI was good, it helped them.
Yeah.
If the AI wasn't so good, it was a hindrance. It didn't help the radiologist. And it also showed that the radiologists that performed better at baseline, if they got the good AI paired with them, they all did better. But the ones that were worse, it didn't help them at all. Sometimes it made them worse.
Yeah.
So it's saying that they don't really think that it's ever going to take over. It's a good tool, but it also depends on the level of that AI. So let's say that facility invests in the AI that's not very good. Is it really helping them?
I think eventually we'll get there where it's good.
It's not just radiology too. I'm hearing about some applications where people are charting and doing their patient notes, and that kind of helps them reduce their workload. And knowing folks in the healthcare industry, that takes a significant amount of time. It's crucial to patient care, but it takes a lot of time.
I have seen some experiences out there where essentially the AI will listen to the whole conversation. And there have been some of the programs that have been able to actually create a really good note. So you come out of the room, you didn't write anything down, and you already have your whole history filled out. So that's kind of nice if it's able to do a good job about that. So I think we will eventually get there as far as replacement of reading of imaging or like pathology slides. But I think the question is, how is it going to be implemented? Because who's going to take the liability when AI is wrong?
Well, that's the thing. You're saying it's going to like replace, but it's all boils down to the same thing. At the end, you still need that human oversight.
There is a bill out there. I don't remember where it was, but there was a bill that was trying to get AI to be licensed to practice medicine itself. So then who takes the liability? Would it be like the computer programmer would take the liability? Like, how would that work? Or just the company, like the corporation would take the liability?
I mean, there's already a case where one of those chatbots kind of told a 14-year-old kid in Florida to kill himself, and he did.
Yeah.
So there's a lawsuit right now.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the same thing. Like if you get into medicine and it gives bad advice, who's going to take that fall?
I did see an article in the New York Times about AI versus doctors at diagnosing some specific cases. And they found that the AI beat the doctors at making those diagnoses. But in my experience, I think it's a lot more complicated and it's going to take longer to replace doctors as far as history and physical taking and diagnosis. First of all, you gave doctors a case that was already completed. You got a curated history and physical, and then fed it to the AI. It doesn't work like that in real life.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how did the AI get all this information? The AI didn't interview the patient or even do any of these things.
Yes.
You're just given all this data already.
Right. The interview process can be an art.
Yeah.
You have to like ask the right questions and sometimes come up with like some kind of novel questions to get the right answer. And then also the patients like will sometimes tell you wrong things, or things that don't make sense, things that aren't related. There have also been situations with some companies I've worked with where like the patients already know how to lie to the AI because they want to get what they want.
Are you talking
Like,
about
oh, yeah,
telehealth?
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I've been sick for 2 weeks with like green boogers out of my nose and I have sinusitis. And then the AI is like, yes, you do. But I'm not really sure if they've been sick for 2 weeks or they already know to say 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think AI is close in that regard. I mean, you're spoon feeding it all the information it needs already, and it's not doing any of the work.
Yeah,
so what you'd really need to do is do trials where the AI is on its own asking all these questions, and then I guarantee you those diagnoses are going to be horrible.
And also, what about the physical part?
Yeah,
Like, the
and then
physical part can be really important. I do find like that's a big limitation with telemedicine. Not having the physical part is actually very limiting to me.
You mean the physical exam?
Yeah. Like not being able to listen to people's lungs, not being able to palpate the abdomen. That's kind of huge, not knowing anything about that when you're evaluating someone via telemedicine.
And I think what we've seen so far is like anything that you can actually have at your own home or at a doctor's office is probably not going to be powerful enough to actually complete these tasks. It's like how they marketed like Alexa and Google, like they could do, they had AI. You just ask like certain questions and it can't even help you. So basically they just became these little automated tasks. That's all they can really do for you.
Yeah. And I wonder when AI will be able to do something like just that gut feeling that we get as human doctors. Like you look at someone, you're like, something off about this person. Like they're sicker than I think they are. Like there's just something off. Like I need to look a little further.
I think we're really, really far away on that.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any gut feeling that could possibly happen with AI.
I mean, I don't want to say that there's not, because I feel like we could get so advanced at some point, and that's going to require those massive quantum computing AI machines.
Huge leaps in power efficiency too. I mean, Nathan here is talking about, those personal assistants that do those little automated tasks. And sometimes it happens on device, but a lot of these AI calls are not happening on the device. They're being sent to servers elsewhere. I mean, especially when you're talking about something like generative AI, like ChatGPT or Grok or Dolly that does images or text models. Some of these calls, like one search on ChatGPT, I saw somewhere, takes about as much energy as it takes to fully charge a smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And at scale, that's a lot of energy. Same thing for some of these other ones that will generate an image. A lot of this information is getting sent to a data center where a not insignificant amount of power is being used. And also, you're talking about sensitive patient data that's being fed to an algorithm as well.
Yeah.
And who knows how secure that data is too.
Yeah, and they're using all that computing power, and they still can only do simple tasks. So, I mean, what does that tell you about how much computing power we're going to need to actually replicate that gut feeling you're talking about?
But I guess I wouldn't be surprised if like 100 years from now, robots could do surgery. It's possible.
Yeah, but is surgery really about gut feelings? I feel like it's very straightforward slice and dice.
Yeah.
It's about precision. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that I could see in our lifetime.
Yeah. Everyone needs to think about, especially like the younger kids, think about how AI might affect life in the future and what jobs may be affected. But like still do what you love and just see how it works out. And things may change a bit, but you may still be able to do what you love in a different form than maybe you thought originally. Like maybe, you know, a surgeon will still be able to do surgery, but maybe like the more simple surgeries will be done by a robot or something.
Yeah, there's always going to be some human element for all of these.
I was thinking about that Trump press conference, the one where they announced the AI project and Larry Ellison and Sam Altman were speaking. And they were talking about like AI might cure cancer. I'm not sure if it will. I feel like we're really far away from AI curing cancer. But I thought it was interesting that they were selling it as it's going to cure cancer. Like, I think cancer is extremely complex. And how is it going to cure cancer when essentially what you need is some method, some treatment that's able to directly target every single abnormal cell and kill it without killing the person? I don't know if that's an AI solvable problem. You almost need like little nano robots.
I feel like that's more of a comment made to sell it to the investors.
But if you think about cancer at a basic level, that's really the problem. You have all these like microscopic cells and you need to kill each of them without killing the person.
But I mean, maybe we don't even need to go that route. I mean, we got methylene blue. We got ivermectin.
Yeah, you
got
can also
ibogaine.
cyanide.
We got ibogaine. So, I mean, maybe the problem's already solved.
So do you believe that ever in our history, AI will not need any human element?
No,
Like 500 years from now, if we haven't killed ourselves?
no.
I mean, it depends what you need it for, right? If it's for automated tasks and things that don't need to interface with people on a fundamental level, then sure, we might be able to do some stuff without human involvement. But when it comes to like, I don't know, customer support. I mean, how
Yeah.
often do you go on customer support? It's not even like AI, they're like chatbots where you just want to get to the human as soon as possible.
Like, do you think it's going to be able to come up with like novel techniques for surgeries and things like that?
Might be able to suggest some things, but we'd probably have to test them, right?
I feel like human creativity is what comes up with a lot of things in medicine, a lot of ideas.
I feel like the AI could maybe come up with the idea, but I don't think it'd be able to know how to implement it.
And then how is it going to implement all of like the experiences that doctors have? Like sometimes you just have to like practice and you're like, wait a minute, why don't I do this? And that might be better.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even think we're close for the reason to like, if you watch a lot of movies, like the way they make it seem like AI will eventually be is like, it'll think for itself. They're able to pull off like pretty much acting exactly like a human. And at this point, like we're not even 0.000 something% of that even being a reality.
Well, and like I think Justin may have said that the generative AI takes way more power too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be super expensive. And also, if they don't do it in a carbon neutral fashion, that's going to be bad for the environment. Plus takes a lot of water, which is also bad for the environment. So at what point do you say that that balance is the right balance for people to take that much power, that much damage to the environment in order to have robots do your surgery or whatever?
I think it'll just depend on if they're still making money. If people are willing to invest, they'll keep trying regardless of the
Yeah.
environmental impacts.
All right. I think that's about as much time as we have for today. Keep on sending stuff over. We'd love to see you on the mailbag. Shout us out to your friends. Rate us 5 stars on all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iHeart, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts at. We'll see you later.
All right, until next time.